In Unit 2, we will familiarize ourselves with the principles of referencing. This unit is divided into 8 sections. Now, let's get started with Section 1, Logic of References. The term reference refers to the relation between one object or a group of objects to another object or a group of objects. For example, if the research paper contains a quotation, an argument, specific data, a graphic, or a document, it might be linked to a source it stems from. Alternatively, these objects might need and therefore have to be related to an additional explanation and information. The way to relate the one to the other is the reference. Section 2. Importance of referencing. According to the academic principles accuracy and intersubjective comprehensibility, traceability is considered to be a key feature of academic research. Every statement of fact has to be proved with one or more references. However, excessive and/or repetitive citation of the same references in a paper or thesis has to be avoided. Without any exception, numbers and data, tables and graphics have to be referenced. The following rule is of utmost importance. In case of doubt, every sentence has to be referenced to a source. Only one's own thoughts and conclusions are exempted from this general rule. Section 3. Forms of referencing. There are different types of references that can be classified into 2 different forms of referencing. The referencing types citation, indication, and cross-references could be viewed as forms of primary referencing. The referencing types information and explanation could be categorized as secondary referencing. Section 4. Citation. Referencing by a citation can be differentiated into 2 different forms. First, the direct citation or quotation, and second, the indirect citation or paraphrase. The direct citation or quotation is characterized by the following rules. Quoting means to repeat an original statement without any changes. The statement is cited verbatim. Unmarked modifications to the original text are not allowed. A quote has to be indicated by way of quotation marks. The indirect citation or paraphrase is subject to the following rules. Paraphrasing means to reproduce an original statement in one's own words. Deviations from the original meaning are not allowed. A paraphrase is not indicated by way of quotation marks. Direct and indirect citations have to be referenced either by parenthetical or footnote referencing. Direct citations have to be denoted with quotation marks. This is demonstrated in the following example. This example of a direct citation is based on parenthetical referencing. The same rule applies in footnote referencing. The details of parenthetical and footnote referencing will be discussed in Units 4 and 5. If text is omitted within a direct citation, the following rule applies. Omitted parts of a direct citation have to be denoted by ellipsis points as shown in the example. The rule in detail is: if one or more words are omitted, they are replaced by 3 spaced points. If text is omitted between 2 sentences, the omission is indicated by 4 spaced points. If the direct citation has amended parts, the following rule applies. Amended parts within a direct citation have to be denoted with square brackets as shown in the example. If a direct citation is included within a direct citation, the following rule applies. Direct citation within a direct citation has to be denoted with single quotation marks, as demonstrated in the following example. If it is necessary to place a citation of considerable length, a block quotation is applied. The paragraph stating the long citation is indented. Whether the quotation marks are omitted depends on the applicable requirements. The same holds true for the formatting. This is demonstrated in the following example. Adhering to local academic standards while writing a research paper in English can be challenging. Different research traditions have led to different referencing and citation styles. Assuming the language of the academic environment is English and the direct citation is in a different language, an additional translation into English is required. If the local language is not English and the citation is in a third language, which is neither English nor the local language, again, an additional translation into English is required. If the local language is not English and the citation is in the local language, no additional translation is required. Indirect citations or paraphrases have to be referenced as well. This is demonstrated in the following example. This example of an indirect citation is based on parenthetical referencing. The same rule applies in footnote referencing. The details of parenthetical and footnote referencing will be discussed in sections 4 and 5. There are 2 important rules for indirect citation. An indirect citation will not be denoted with quotation marks. There must be no change of the original meaning while paraphrasing an original statement. Section 5. Indication. With regard to the referencing of indications, there are 2 different forms. An indication can address an opinion which is considered supporting or informative, or an indication can state a diverting opinion. Supporting or informative opinions can be derived from sources that either potentially support the researcher's own argumentation or might be of general interest to the reader. Diverting opinions can be derived from sources or authors that do not support the researcher's own argumentation or thoughts of cited sources. Both informative as well as diverting meanings should be included into the referencing in order to demonstrate a comprehensive, critical, and diligent literature research. Indications are referenced by means of an indicative wording. The examples are as follows. In case of a supporting or informative opinion, the wording could be see Decker or also Meyer, followed by year and page of the referenced source. In case of a diverting opinion, the wording could be different Decker or deviant Schmidt, followed by year and page of the referenced source. Section 6. Cross-references. Referencing within a research paper is called cross-reference. A cross-reference refers to information that has either been given in a previous chapter or will be presented in one of the following chapters. Cross-references link parts, for example chapters, within a research paper or a thesis. Cross-references should be placed in a separate footnote. Alternatively, parenthetical cross-referencing is possible. Section 7. Information. Any information that is linked to one's argumentation has to be incorporated in the respective paragraph of the research paper. However, in some cases it can be necessary to provide the reader with additional information that is not linked to the author's argumentation. This information is given as a reference that is placed in a separate footnote. Additional information has to be provided cautiously. It must not be misunderstood as a deviating excursion that is not linked to the research question. Section 8. Explanation. In a research paper, one may find different forms of explanations that address formulas, logical conclusions, additional aspects, or specific terminology. The reference type explanation is placed in a separate footnote. However, there are certain restrictions. The explanation of a formula is only referenced if an additional explanation of formula is needed. A logical conclusion is only referenced if the complexity of one's logical reasoning requires further explanation. Additional aspects are only referenced if further aspects seem to be noteworthy and should otherwise disturb the text flow. Terminology is only referenced if it needs explanation and the research paper does not include a glossary as a structural element.